Welcome, everybody, to the February 18th Administrative Services Committee meeting. I apologize, we're a little late. We had a lot of business to do at public facilities. So here we go. First order is to approve the minutes from January. Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion, a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay.
Privilege of the floor. Is there anyone here to speak to us? I can't see through Jen, so I'll assume nobody's back there, but, okay, we'll close the privilege of the floor. Proposed resolution number 1, amend the 2024 budget for year-end reconciliations, information technology.
Good afternoon, Sam Zaffuto, Deputy Director of Finance. I am representing IT. The director sends his regards. He was not able to make the meetings this week, so
Yep.
given as easy as these looked, I figured I could take care of this for him. But this is to balance the IT accounts. Basically, we had some overages, and John did give a little bit of a write-up as well. But we had some overages related through personal services across the IT organization, kind of tied out to the vacancy savings as we did not have the vacancies. And there were some overages in the .8 accounts as well. That is kind of retirement surcharges, worker, basically stuff outside of the department's control, and it's being offset with a surplus of revenue. That actually is communications charges to other county departments that is surplusing it. But really, it was kind of basically a budget neutral resolution. But John did also want to thank the committee and kind of point out that you had approved a resolution earlier this year for his department for communications to get some needed work done. He, one, wanted to thank the committee, and two, we did come in under budget, so he is returning about $40,000 in that sub-department as we close out the year as well. So he did not need to use that vendor as much as initially thought. So he also did want me to give the thanks, as we also did this afternoon.
Did he want you to thank us before we voted on this, or?
Well, he wanted to think about the other ones.
I'm
so-
kidding, that was a joke, Sam.
Yeah,
Just me being so funny.
you being Bob.
Yeah. All right, very good. Any questions, comments, concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thanks. All right. Proposed resolution number 2, amend the 2024 budget for year-end reconciliations, county clerk.
Hello,
Hello.
Emily Blevins, Deputy County Clerk. As you just heard with the last one, there was the vacancy adjustment, and we did not have a vacancy in our Weights and Measures Department. So we moved extra money that we had under the .4s or contractual accounts and moved those to cover personal services and employee benefits.
Okay, pretty straightforward.
It's
Thank you.
budget neutral.
Yes, budget neutral. Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Proposed resolution number 3, amend the 2024 budget for year-end reconciliations, county executive. If we could get a motion to amend this to the copy that we have on our desk, please.
Okay, I'll make a motion to amend on the copy.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor of amending this to the copy that we have on our desks?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay, we're working on the amended resolution, which for the folks at home, it was just change of numbers. Appropriations 3,890 to 4,296, and the same in the decrease appropriation count.
Yep, Sam Zaffuto, Deputy Director of Finance for the County Executive's Office. Yeah, this, I do apologize, we got our late charges for our unemployment charges, so that is the reason for the adjustment. There were overages in the .8s related to unemployment and retiree surcharges being balanced by savings in personal services and budget neutral as we close out the year.
That's good.
All right. Questions, comments, concerns? None. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. Let my hands catch up here. Proposed resolution number 4, amend the 2024 budget for year-end reconciliations, human resources.
Hello, Debbie Mikowski, Director of HR. This proposed resolution, due to changes in health insurance elections, it's being offset by savings in our personal services costs. Again, budget neutral.
I love budget neutral, don't you?
We all love budget neutral.
I live for budget. Questions, comments, concerns, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried. Thanks, Deb. Okay. Proposed resolution number 5, amend 2024 budget for year-end reconciliations, unified courts.
Good afternoon, Jen Swan, Budget Director. This resolution before you is just to adjust some of the expenses that are charged to the various unified courts departments. And thankfully, we were able to offset those, so it is budget neutral. We were able to use .4 funds from another department.
Very good. Questions, comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Yep, those are yours.
Our next proposed resolution requesting continuation of state legislation authorizing 1% additional sales tax.
Pierre Chagnon, Chairman of the Legislature. This is a recurring event for the legislature. Every 2 years, we have to request the state legislature to continue the 1% of additional sales tax that we have had in place for as long as I've been a legislator.
I support this.
I support it.
Okay, this is great. Any other comments, questions, concerns? I think we're gonna all support this. It not only benefits the county, but also helps the cities, the towns, and the villages.
It would hurt the county if we didn't support this.
Yes.
Drastically.
Yes. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 7, proposed resolution, authorized lease agreement with Jamestown Rental Properties LLC. This was tabled at the previous committee, so we are just going to skip over that. Number 8, amend 2024 budget for year-end reconciliations, county attorney. Ooh.
Good afternoon, Anna Morgan, County Attorney.
And Sam Zafuto, Deputy Director of Finance. So this resolution is to move some money into our contractual line. We did have some small overages in the county attorney's office, basically related to legal expense, and we had some savings in personal services to offset it. So this is just closing out the year with a budget neutral resolution.
Looks pretty simple. Any questions, comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Number 9, proposed resolution, authorize extension of the amended Technology Innovations and Election Resource Grant Award from the New York State Board of Elections. Enough chair? Yep.
All right, Sam Zafuto, Deputy Director of Finance.
Luz Torres, Commissioner.
Nicole Ellis, Commissioner.
Commissions.
All right, so this resolution is a previous grant offer that a Board of Elections had received through what was called the tier grant. This is basically authorizing us to amend that grant to extend the term. We'd already purchased some voting machines with this grant in 2024. However, unfortunately, the delivery of those machines fell slightly outside of the grant period. So we've had to hold off waiting for reimbursement. This resolution will allow us to execute that amendment of basically the term and then submit our claim. So we have accrued that revenue back in 2024, except where the voting machines were purchased. And once this is done, we'll get the claim out, basically as soon as the contract amendment is sent to BOE, or New York State BOE, excuse me.
I support this.
And you can indicate that by saying aye. Any other questions or comments? Sorry.
Really? If you have any more comments,
Seeing none, all in favor? Oh, wait, I have a question or comment, and it has nothing to do with this resolution, but I want to ask it, because then I don't have to call you guys and ask you. If someone was to run for the Chautauqua County Legislature next year, are they running for a 1-year or a 2-year term?
They're running for a 2-year term.
2-year term, officially a 2-year
Right.
term.
We haven't received any notices, yes, this year.
Not, it won't be changed to a 1-year term,
Not as of yet.
not as of yet,
Nope.
okay.
When it happens, we'll notify everyone, but
So
at
if-
this time, we
right.
have not heard anything.
So if an individual
So, no.
decided to run for the legislature,
It would be now.
it would be for a 2-year term.
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
thank you for answering that. Did we vote on this?
nope.
I don't mean the 1 or 2-year term,
Yeah.
I mean, all in favor of the resolution that we just spoke about?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, number 10, proposed resolution authorize acceptance of a 2024 general election grant for Board of Elections.
So this one is a little different than the other grants we're going to talk about, and this one does not have any sort of budget amendment or accrual. This grant had a little bit different language of supplementing but not supplanting county funds, and it got issued at such a time, the general election obviously has already happened, it was this past November. By the time we were aware of this, it would have been quite difficult, number one, to exceed our budget, because we honestly didn't last year, and at the same time, do something extra before the election with the amount of work that they had to carry on that election. However, we are continuing to work with the partners at the New York State BOE to maybe see what exact expenses related to that election could be reimbursable, given where we finished. But basically, we're working with our partners to see what might be reimbursable, or if there were things that were used or damaged because of the heavy traffic of the election, can we fix it this year? The answer to that really is, I honestly don't know, but it's worth us making the effort, filling this out and continuing to work with them. I can't guarantee you we'll get $1, but we could get up to 38,000, and we will make the effort, so.
Absolutely. It's worth the effort.
Okay.
How do you feel on this one?
I support it. Why should I?
Any other comments? It's fun being the chairman. Comments, questions, concerns? All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 11, proposed resolution authorize acceptance of ballot by mail grant for Board of Election.
So this is, does have a budget amendment. We had included in the budget the idea of a grant offer from New York State Board of Elections for postage. We weren't 100% sure during the summer, so this was a little different. We had included the same amount we had received for the absentee postage. This one has a little bit more, so we're increasing the budget to the actual grant amount. One of the nice things about this is whether or not the expenses, we are allowed to just use postage out of the county mailroom if need be. So this is not something we're gonna struggle to come up with the expense for. But they might have some opportunities for some other things they have in the short term that they wanna purchase. And then worst case scenario, we can use just regular postage as long as it's out of our mailroom specifically, so.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Let's see. My hands aren't as fast as my brain, which Okay. Proposed resolution number 12, authorize acceptance of electronic poll book grant for Board of Elections.
So this does have a couple pieces to it that we can kind of discuss. So this grant has a couple different options. They've put together a budget. It does have a reference in here for expenses that were basically incurred in 2024 and revenue that's accrued. The outgoing commissioner and the department kind of came to me towards the end of the year with where they were budgetarily wise. They had an opportunity to move forward with some replacement iPads at a very good price at the end of the year, using this grant funds to basically reimburse. Looking at their budget, I was comfortable, given they weren't going to exceed their contractual line to begin with, and now we're going to get reimbursed for it moving forward with that price at the end of the year. So that purchase is completed, that revenue is accrued, obviously provided you authorize us to move forward accepting this grant to offset the local share. And then they do have some other options on a budget that we're working for basically this year now as well too. But it really was a great opportunity at the end of the year to kind of move forward. No, we could be reimbursed for it, and at worst case scenario, not really exceed our budgeted amount to begin with. So it was a great job by them with that election last year, with all the traffic and everything they had to be that far under at the end of the year as well too. So.
Good.
Take it where we can.
Any questions, comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 13, proposed resolution, amend 2024 budget for year-end reconciliation, Board of Elections.
Nicole?
Not so fast,
Yeah.
Nicole.
This is the last one. This is the resolution to balance the accounts for Board of Elections for 2024. Yeah, this is a department also that had the vacancy savings were, obviously they did not have vacancies. They were above and beyond for the election last year. So we had savings both in our contractual line, on top of buying the iPads we just spoke about, a little bit of equipment money left, and then some revenue essentially from the grant money that we're all talking about that ties everything up for Board of Elections as we close out last year. So it ends up being a budget neutral resolution as we move forward into 25.
Great, you love budget neutral.
Everybody's budget neutral.
Not everybody.
Not everyone.
Oh.
But the Board of
So
Elections
far,
is.
well, yeah, we are. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Any comments, questions? I have a comment. I just would like to say I appreciate the Chautauqua County Board of Elections, the unquestioned elections that we have year after year, and I assume it will continue going forward, especially knowing who's in charge. And I think it's great, the integrity and, like I said, the unquestioned elections that go on year after year, at least that I've been here and that I'm aware of. So good job to you guys.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Now you can leave. Number 14, proposed resolution, amend the 2024 budget for year-end reconciliations, workers' compensation fund.
Hello, Kitty Crow, Director of Finance. Just a couple changes here to reconcile the fund. Contractual costs, which were, claims and, like one-time settlements were in excess of the budget. And we did have unspent funds in our stop loss. We kind of self-fund our stop loss at this point in the MS fund, so we did not have any expenses there, so that was used to offset that claims overrun, as well as some additional refunds that we had received in 2024. Just as an aside, for next month, we will likely have some additional changes in the workers' comp fund after our actuarial report is received, so that usually comes in early March, and that is to book our what is it, like our incurred, but our post, I'm drawing a blank, sorry. Anyhow, they book our long-term liability, basically, how much we should reserve for that. And that may affect the enterprise funds because they have to book that as an actual expense, so just a different accounting treatment than the general fund, but just as a heads up for next month.
That even makes sense. I don't mean you made sense, I could comprehend it. I gotta be careful how I state that. Okay, very good. Any questions, comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 15, proposed resolution amend the 2024 budget for year-end reconciliations, health insurance fund.
Okay, the M fund, as you mentioned, is the health insurance fund. All the expenses related to our health plan are incurred in this fund. We had a couple of areas where we went over and some under, so the contractual administration costs were just $1,700 off from what had been budgeted. The undistributed benefits, the benefit surcharge, that's mainly related to, our claims experience did exceed the budget on, for retirees and other county-sponsored benefits. So the M fund is set up, the accounting is like we group all of the accounts associated with active employee health plan and the retiree health plan, and count what I like refer to as county-sponsored benefits, for example, the EAP. We don't charge that out as part of our health plan, it's just a benefit that the county provides. So in total, that went over 226,000. And then the 0.8 employee benefits that went over, that's related to our retiree opt-out payments. So there's FICA and Medicare charged on that, and that just went over a little bit. That is all offset by the claims experience of our active employees, which were under budget. And so that was, we were able to offset the other costs with that surplus. Generally speaking, demographically, the retiree population is gonna have higher claims than the active population, but, and then overall, just as another point is that we did have positive results this year in the M fund, so that's good, especially considered we're self-funding, so that surplus will help us kind of, if we have kind of a bad claims year, sometime down the road, which is, always bound to happen, we now have a little bit of a surplus to kind of help us weather a storm like that, should it come up, and or to offset rates, in the future, so. We also, and that surplus mainly was a result of excess stop-loss proceeds and our pharmacy rebates, so.
Well said.
It's all good in the M fund.
All right. Questions, comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I'll make an amendment to
Let me propose resolution number 16, amend 2024 budget for year-end reconciliations, insurance liability, CS fund. Lisa,
I'd like to make an amendment to replace it with the copy on my desk.
make a motion
Yes.
to amend it to the copy on our desk.
And I'll
Is
second
what you
that.
said?
Motion.
And we have a second. All in favor of amending the resolution to the copy that we have on our desk?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So we are now talking to the amended resolution.
Okay, so, this fund, the CS fund, is where all the expenses related to premiums and claims, for general liability. We had, some claims, and Dennis does a good job too, where the claims just went over a little bit, because some of our premiums were higher than, we had, estimated. So that's mainly the increase in the 2.4 accounts there. And then we were able, what we accumulate in the CS fund gets charged back to all county departments based on different methodologies, depending on what the premium is for. So if it's auto insurance, we only allocate that back to departments that have vehicles. Everyone gets an expense for general liability, that sort of thing, or medical malpractice, for example, that would only go to a handful of departments. So, the participant assessments is mainly what is being used to offset the expense, overruns. And then, we did have a little bit of a surplus from interest earnings, and then the balance is being offset by, the insurance reserve. I should also mention a little bit of the, yeah, so just so, we do have a healthy fund balance in the CS fund, so, I'm not concerned about using about 14,000 from there.
Right. Good. Questions, comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Brings us to number 17. Proposed resolution, amend 2024 budget for year-end reconciliations, Department of Finance and miscellaneous department. Lisa?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the motion with the copy on the table.
I'd like to second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to amend this resolution to the copy that we have on our tables. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We are now working off of the amended resolution.
Okay. I did also hand out a, kind of a backup worksheet. If you all have that, it might be easier to follow along on, what's offsetting each of the items.
In color. Thank you, Kitty.
Yeah, so everyone got one, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So just starting with the items, shaded in green for Department of Finance, the .1, and, personnel services did go over budget, $150,000, but that is, if you recall, maybe during the budget hearings, we talked about some of the finance positions that transferred from other departments into the Department of Finance. We did not do a budget amendment earlier in the year for that, but there were two positions in OFA that transferred to finance, but we didn't do it, so it's mainly those two positions that transferred to finance. So you'll see that offset down below, on the bottom there, 114,000 is, being offset from the Office for the Aging, but their budget is still, positive. It did not cause them to go over budget because, of course, they did not fill those two positions in their department. We also had, unspent funds in our contractual and, some in our .8s. So that was, those three items were used to offset the first two expense increases. The next three items that went over were in the real property tax division. And those are being offset by other accounts within the real property tax operation. So you can see those, everything shaded in pink is offsetting each other. Next, in gray, we have some, there's three items, consecutive items, and then the last one there. So the HR countywide employee expense, that's the expenses associated with, the contractual obligation to cover the cost of the union, CSEA union president. So those expenses went over, and then the bottom one there is community college tuition was just slightly beyond our budget by 14,000. And that is all being offset by, OTB revenue in excess of our budget. So that's been, I think, mainly since we were able to do, is it more sports betting now in New York State? We've seen higher, an uptick in our OTB revenue. So since that's also a countywide revenue, I use that to offset those other countywide expenses. They're not really attributed to any single department.
Is that what happens with the sports betting? It goes through OTB?
If they go to the OTB to do betting.
To do the betting.
Before they couldn't do it. I think there's some things something changed with what's allowed to be done, like outside of Vegas, basically, so in an OTB. So since that happened, which was maybe about 2.5 years ago.
We have seen an
I've
increase.
seen you know, because before then, it was just pretty steady revenue, and it
Right.
has increased, and that's the only change that's occurred.
Okay, so it isn't all, do we get any portion of sports betting from New York State? Like, do they?
Separately from whatever's.
Do they divide it by 62 counties and give everybody? Okay,
Uh,
never mind.
I'll look into that, I'll check on that.
Never mind. Okay.
All right, and then lastly, there were some, in, the, 1989 accounts for .1 and 8, and that's our, insurance department, which is, you know, Dennis and Aki, and there was budgeted vacancy savings, but there's only 2 people in that division, so there were no vacancies, so they did go over slightly in the .1 and 8, and that was offset by, what we charge back to departments, as well as just a little bit of surplus in their .4 account. So those are all of the reconciliations for finance.
Great job. Color, I love color. Usually I gotta go home and color it in with my crayons, but
I like coloring too.
all right, any questions, comments, concerns? I think it was pretty well spelled out there. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 18, proposed resolution, amend 2024 budget for year-end reconciliation, energy fund.
Okay, the contractual costs in the energy fund was slightly over budget, and my recollection, it was, and the difference in the, what was budgeted for the interest, it seems like every year I try to correct this, and somehow it doesn't, in the next year budget, but the way the interest is handled on the debt service is on a, accrual basis, and so I think that I budgeted it based on the cash basis, so there was more expense. But that's offset by, the surplus interest earnings that we had in 2024.
All right. Any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And that brings us to the end of our regularly scheduled programs. Does anyone have anything else for the Administrative Services Committee meeting this evening? Seeing no one, motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned. Thank you.